say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
I'm Steve McClafferty, Finance Director here at the Vermont Veterans Home. I have the extreme humbled opportunity to hear or to talk with one of our World War II heroes from the local area, Mrs. Margaret Lilly. Mrs. Lilly was born here in Bennington, raised in Pownell, and then enlisted into the Navy as a WAVE and WAVE stands for Women Auxiliary for Voluntary Emergency Service. Welcome, Mrs. Lilly, and thank you for your service.
Thank you very much.
Okay. So what was it like growing up in Bennington during the 20s and 30s?
It wasn't very exciting for us.
And after you graduated high school here?
I went on to University of Vermont,
Yeah.
which is at Burlington.
Yes. And so as you were working, was it down at Pratt and Whitney after college or the summers in Connecticut?
Yes.
And how did you get into the Navy? Was it by chance you went with a friend and you enlisted into the Navy?
Oh, yes, that's true.
You're only one of 100,000 women in the WAVES. You know, there are not a lot of you. And where in Rhode Island were you stationed?
Quonset Point,
What did you do down there in Rhode Island?
besides training.
I think I was reading here about your drill instructor making you march day and night.
So that we were well prepared for that sort of thing.
Yeah. And so as a WAVE, your job was to watch airplanes land?
Yes.
What did you, I enjoy watching airplanes land, but what did you particularly look for when they were landing?
That they had their wheels down.
Okay, yeah, that's required, yes. And how many landed without their wheels down, would you say?
In my career, none.
Wow, okay, good. You have a perfect record then.
In other words, I wasn't really tested.
Well, you had good pilots. You know, were they transport planes or were they
All kinds,
okay?
including transport planes.
Transport, okay. And see, were they headed over to Europe or were they getting ready do you think, going over to the Pacific operations, or just watching our coastline, because we were still needed to be observant of potential enemies coming across.
Yes, I think they were mindful of that.
How many years were you in the Navy for?
Oh, heavens, I was in less than 2 years.
And after 2 years, they said, "Thank you, Miss Lilly." And what did you do after that? And then you used the GI Bill?
Yes,
What did you go to school for?
school for regular college.
And then you continued on and you got, was it your JD? You got your lawyer degree?
Yes,
You were one of the very few women who became a judge back then. So you blazed a trail that way too, being a, was it probate and superior court judge?
well, I was more or less a home judge.
Okay. Would you join the Navy again?
Oh, yes, I would under the same
would?
circumstances.
What didn't you like about the Navy, if there was anything that you didn't like?
Well, you know, it was actually a short time, and I didn't have a chance really to get tired, or my rank never came up because it was fixed at that. I'll never be known in the annals of
You are here. Bennington in World War II. Page number 49, Margaret Lilly. So, any encouraging words you'd have for young ladies who who are thinking about the military?
Well, it can't hurt any to spend a couple years, because that's something you'll always have for your credentials.
And women in the Navy are no longer relegated to being a secretary. They're fighter pilots, admirals.
There's admirals in there.
Oh, female admirals. Yes, there are. So, you blazed the trail for these young ladies today. Well, I'll close with two things. If you want to read about the other heroes here in Bennington during the war, please go to the local bookseller and pick up the book. I'm just plugging the book. I get nothing for it. Read about our local heroes. And you don't have to sing, Mrs. Lilly, but if you do you need glasses to read?
No.
Oh, jeez, I need them. So if you just want to read where it says Waves of the Navy all the way down.
Ways of the Navy. There's a ship sailing down the bay, and she won't slip into port again until that victory day. Carry on for that gallant ship, and for every hero brave who will find ashore his man-sized chore was done by a Navy wave. Isn't that cute?
Yeah. So, thank you. Thank you for everything. And it's an honor and a privilege for you to be here and for me to meet you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Steve McClafferty, Finance Director here at the Vermont Veterans Home. I have the honor and privilege of interviewing one of our American World War II heroes here, Mr. Ted Barrio, who is one of our residents. Mr. Barrio, welcome on board.
Thank you.
It is a pleasure to meet you, as always.
Thank you.
So, you were born in Worcester, Mass.
Yes,
What was it like growing up?
wonderful. I have 5 brothers and 5 sisters. My father was a roofer
Okay.
and contractor.
Okay. After graduating high school, what did you do?
I went in the Navy.
Where were you stationed at first?
Shoemaker, California.
Okay.
And then I went up to Sampson, New York.
So what did you do in the Navy?
I was, I first went aboard as a deckhand.
Okay.
But my officer, he went into the R Division, and I asked, his name was Mr. Badesum. I asked him, can I go into your division? And he says, why? Well, I says, I want to be a sailor, and I want to be able to learn the trade, and I want to do something, welding,
Yeah.
pipe fitting,
Okay.
and so he took me, and when I was up there, my buddy, he was a boatswain on the quarterdeck, and it seems as though he kept piping Barrio report to the quarterdeck. So anyway, I says to him, is there anybody else on the ship but me?
And all your shipmates are saying, what did you do wrong? Probably.
Yeah. So-
You're always.
When we pulled into Bremerton, Washington, the shipyard workers, he come walking aboard, and he spit on the deck. And I said to him, hey, this is our home. No, you don't spit on our deck. Now wipe it up. And the officer of the deck, his name was Ensign Skates, and I made the guy wipe it off.
That's your home.
This is our home.
Yep. Yeah, you have pride.
Yeah.
You wouldn't do that on their ship or any place.
Captain was Captain Phillips.
Okay.
He was, before he came aboard the Oakland, he was a submarine captain. And he was a wonderful guy.
People in the military have a lot of fun with each other.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So after you did that, you were on 2 ships, the Oakland and the Comstock. So let's start off with the Comstock, because that's when you were in for the second time.
Yeah.
That was during the Korean conflict, war, or whatever we want to call it.
Yeah.
And what were your duties and what did you see?
Well, the Comstock was a floating dry dock. We would pull up and we'd ballast down, open the gates on the back of the fantail, and all the small boats would come in. And then when they were in position, we'd pump the water out, and we could work on the LCMs, LCVP, and landing ship dock. And so, and That was up in Kodiak, Alaska,
Oh, jeez.
and the temperature was below zero.
Oh.
So anyway, I was up on the overlooking the well deck, and this fella says, "I'm not going down there. It's too cold." He says. So he says, I said, "I'll go down there." He said, "I'll bet you $100 you won't stay down there too long." I said, "Where you from?" He says, "I'm from Minnesota." So I said to him, "I'll bet you $100 I'll go down there." And he says, "I'll take the bet." I says, "Give the fellow the $100 to hold it."
Yep.
So anyway, I dressed up in foul weather outfit. I got my welding equipment, hood and everything. I went down there welding, and I welded from 10 o'clock at night to 8 o'clock in the morning. And I said, "Give me my $100." After we finished up in putting it in ship shape, they ballast down and they went out. And then we waited for the next one.
Wow. So you did another 2 years there, was it? The second time around?
A year.
A year. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you got out finally and came home.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was called back for Korea.
So let's talk about the USS Oakland.
Oh, that's a beautiful ship.
Yeah.
The men were wonderful,
Mm-hmm.
and the captain was. I have a picture of him.
Mm-hmm. So I was reading on the Oakland. There was some action in the South Pacific.
Yes.
Yeah, you saw, took down a few Zeros.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had they got a shell through the stack,
Oh.
and they put me on a Bolton chair
Mm-hmm.
and put me up on the stack so I could block up the hole.
You sound like the captain of the ship. I'm too high. Bring me down a little lower. So they figured, Ted, he can go up there and fix it fast for us.
When the ship went this way, wow.
Yep, yeah, you get a different perspective and view from up there. So how many days at sea were you on the Oakland for? Because that sort of traversed the Pacific between California, Hawaii, down to some islands.
I think almost two and a half years.
Okay.
Yeah, 2.5 years.
Wow.
Bombardments.
Yeah.
I think there was 4 or 5 bombardments. We bombed the islands before the Marines went in.
Mm-hmm.
But the Japs were underground.
Mm. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. We have. So you cleared the path for the Marines to make their life easy. Yeah. Oakland, geez, got 9 battle stars.
Yeah.
Wow. We have another vet here, Lenny. He was in Tokyo Harbor at the same time.
What's his name?
Lenny, and I can't think of his last name right now. But you two were on Tokyo Harbor. Depending upon local time would be September 2nd. Local time over there would have been September 3rd at the surrender on the Missouri.
We were alongside the Missouri
Yep.
when they signed the surrender.
Yeah.
And I was looking right down and I see Hirohito signing the book. And he was like this, and MacArthur was like,
Oh, yeah.
he signed the surrender. The Oakland was a flagship.
Oh.
Yeah, so we because we had a Commodore aboard,
Yeah.
Commodore Womble.
What was it like seeing American history, you know, after between Pearl Harbor of 41 to, you know, the end?
Yeah, I knew we were making history.
So after the surrender in Tokyo Harbor, did your ship stay around? Did you have duties to do in Japan after the war?
No,
Okay.
we came back with
Okay.
the Third Fleet, and of course they already celebrated in the States.
Yeah.
See, but I got to tell you something. When we were in Tokyo Bay, before they signed the surrender, the Air Force, Army, Navy, Marine, came up over the horizon. It was like a cloud.
Wow.
It impressed the Japanese of how many ships and planes, because they were coming up over the horizon,
Wow.
and they're flying over there.
And growing up, my friend's father was on the USS Bennington,
Oh yeah.
and they were steaming towards Japan when we dropped the first bomb on Hiroshima. Yeah. And then after that, when we dropped the second bomb, then they were getting ready for the invasion of Japan. So you came home, and then came back here to Massachusetts.
Yeah, my father was in the roofing business.
Yeah. Were you married at the time when you came home, or?
No.
No. Okay.
So I got married.
So you found a nice, lovely bride.
Oh yeah,
Ah. What's her name?
Estelle.
Estelle.
Estelle Lovisi.
Lovisi.
She's an Italian girl.
Ah.
Yeah, and she took over the city of Worcester.
And so you came back, got married. How many kids did you have?
3.
3.
2 boys and a girl.
Okay.
And I lost my son to leukemia disease.
Oh. My condolences, sir.
And my son David here. And my daughter Nancy Molinari.
Yeah. Yeah. And I see you brought pictures. What are they pictures of?
Oh,
Family history, or when you were in? Oh yeah. Ah.
I was a young fellow there.
Yeah. Yeah. No wonder why you caught that eye of that nice Italian girl.
Yeah. And
Wow.
that was my bunk was on the main deck. There's a compartment there for the art division.
I mean, those guns. How many inch guns were they?
Those are 5-inch 38s.
Okay.
We had 3 forward, 3 aft,
Okay.
and we had quad 40s on the side.
Jeez.
They used to have torpedo tubes on, but they took them off.
Okay.
They were obsolete.
Is it? Oh, here's the dentist.
Yeah.
Okay. What was his name?
Canettis.
I don't know how he remembers that.
He was from Hollywood.
Oh.
Chili Williams was a patient of his.
Okay. There he is.
That's him.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yep. Well, I think I have my dad in a picture like that too. So I guess you like the Navy then, huh?
Oh yeah, I was.
Oh, gee, some of the natives. Okay.
Oh, yeah,
Ah, well, was that in Hawaii?
Hawaii.
Okay.
My friend's wife.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
it's Joanne, yeah.
She joined, yeah.
Somebody captured a
zero.
Japanese flag?
Uh-oh. Is that you with two ladies?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. Your wife never saw those pictures, huh?
Oh, I showed her.
Oh, okay.
We had no secret,
I know.
because she knew I loved her.
Yeah. If you had to do it all over again for the Navy, would you join the Navy or a different branch?
No, I'd go back in the Navy.
Yeah. You like the Navy?
I like
Have a lovely bride, couple kids.
Yeah.
You know, the American dream.
Yeah. I think every young fella should go into the service, serve at least 1 year, and he can grow up fast.
Yes. Well, I want to say thank you very much for your service. I salute you. And I'll see you, sir.
And thank you.
Thank you. Good afternoon. I'm Steve McClafferty, Finance Director at the Vermont Veterans Home. I have the distinguished pleasure to interview this afternoon Command Sergeant Major Michael McIntyre, a 26-year veteran of the U.S. Army. Commander McIntyre, welcome on board.
Thank you very much. Pleased to be here.
Oh, I'm glad. I'm going to start off quickly. You were born in Whitefield, New Hampshire.
Whitefield, New Hampshire, not a very big town, but a very nice one. Pleasant. And it was on railroad tracks. You can imagine as a little kid with the trains going by and still steam engines too, and mixed in that group. So,
What was it like growing up in the 50s there? I'm going to presume that's upstate New Hampshire.
I moved from Whitefield to Littleton.
Okay.
My dad was chief of police there for over 20 years, and they were divorced, my parents, so I moved there with him. And most of the time it was high school during that period that I was in Littleton. But Littleton, if you haven't been there, is one of the most beautiful towns in the state, I think. It's a wonderful place to visit. 7 days after I graduated from high school, I was at Fort Dix, New Jersey, basic training.
Okay.
So it was pretty quick. I think more than anything else, I wanted to get started on learning a new job because I was really worried about that when I got out of high school. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Well, the Army at that time had what they call a guaranteed enlistment. And that was, they sent you a nice decorative piece of paper that said you're guaranteed to get to Army Security Agency or being a computer operator or whatever you want. And if you got high enough on your AFQT score, then they would do that. I had the highest score in the Army for computer systems. So that's when the Pentagon, no, the White House called up and requested that I come for an interview. Jeez. And I said, wow,
Yeah.
I don't know if I really want to do that. Well, anyway, I went for the interview, and there were a bunch of Navy Coast Guard people doing the interview.
And then you got sent to where then?
No, I went back to my job at Milperson, which was in Alexandria, Virginia. Had the biggest computer system in the Army, and I was the senior operator for it. It was soon after that, though, that the colonel had talked to me, and he said, you know, you can't, I know you enjoy operating systems, but he says you can't do that forever. You're already an E7, and you would be doing systems analysis more than anything else if you were doing it by what your grade is. He says, so you either got to go to systems or maybe find another MOS that you want to work in. While you're here at Milperson, you can get another MOS if you wanted to. So I went upstairs and talked to them, and they said that Air Defense Artillery was extremely short of non-commissioned officers. So that's where I went. Oh, 1 week of school to make up for the 15 years.
And MOS is military occupation?
Military occupational specialty.
Specialty, okay. Did they send you to Vietnam, you know, boots on the ground over there?
Not yet.
So you went to?
Fort Hood, actually.
Yep, Killeen, Texas. I know it well.
Killeen, Texas, 2nd Armored Division. We had an air defense battalion there that was made up with Stingers, Vulcans, 20 millimeter gun at 2,000 rounds a minute, and MIM-72 Charlie Chaparral missiles. And they were all on track vehicles.
So you were at Fort Hood for a while?
Yep, a couple of years. Let's see, where did I go after Fort Hood? Where did I go?
Fort Sill?
No, the only time I went to Fort Sill was to evaluate their school system. That was when I made Sergeant Major. You get to go evaluate then. You either pass or you don't pass. Germany, I guess, yeah. I went to Germany. When I got there, it was the first battalion that I'd ever been in Air Defense Artillery. And I walked in there and I reported to the colonel, and the colonel was the same person that I'd had as a captain in the very first unit in Air Defense Artillery. I said, oh boy, this is going to be a fun tour. 1 week of school, and you're expected to know what these other kids are, you know, that are E6s and 7s, and, you know, what they've been through for the last whatever number of years. And the 1 week of school was all on Vulcan, and I happened to end up in a Chaparral battery. Germany, I was in, the first time was near Frankfurt, right south of Frankfurt. And that was Schwabach, very nice town.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
The second time I went over, I spent 7.5 years in Germany altogether.
So you went to Germany, then came back to the States?
Right.
More education?
Yes, Sergeant's Major Academy. Although that was kind of funny. I was at Fort Hood when the Sergeant Major called me and said, "You were going to retire in a couple months, right?" I said, "Yes." He took my retirement papers out. Why he had them, I didn't know. And he ripped them in half and threw them in the trash can. He said, "You've been selected for the Sergeant's Major Academy," which in the regulation also calls for an 18-month commitment after you get there. So I said, well, looks like I'll be staying a while longer.
Do they, is there like a secret board that sits behind to select people, or do you apply?
No, you can't apply for that. It's a board of, it's a general officers, a lot of general officers and a lot of colonels. They look through your records and they decide who gets to go and who doesn't get to go. Very intense training, education. It's 6 months long, or it was. Hopefully it's longer, because everybody has encouraged them to make it longer and spread out. 6 months of school, and then I got orders to stay there and be a lesson author. So apparently they liked what I was writing in the course. I was there about a year as a lesson author, and I got orders to go back to Germany.
And what does a command sergeant major do?
Whatever the colonel wants you to do first, and then you're working with an XO, but he usually works hand in hand with you, the major, because sometimes you need that kind of clout with you. The first time I was the first unit I was in as a command sergeant major was in Nuremberg. So that was pretty decent. Usually 5 batteries in the battalion. One of the first sergeants comes to see you and says, "This soldier's got a special problem that I don't have a clue how to fix it." So you go to work on it, and you can spend more time than he was able to. And, get it solved.
Yeah. And how many years were you a sergeant major?
I think it says on there, but I'm not sure. It had to be 3 anyway.
So what was it like? Back in the 60s, I remember watching on TV, the daily or updates with Walter Cronkite, Dan Rather being over there in Vietnam. We were, like I said earlier, my cousin was over there in the medical corps and just, worried about you guys and gals.
The thing about being in Vietnam, period, was you were a target no matter what your job was. You'd think a computer operator would never see any combat, but they constantly mortared the base you were on, so chances of getting hit, especially if you're in one of those big 292 vans. Say, "Ooh, what's in there? Something important.
Yep.
Let's blow that up." Luckily, they didn't hit us, but they tried. They sure tried. We used to say they were blowing up the officers' golf course that ran along beside the billets.
How did Vietnam experience over there impact you, and how did you overcome that, sir?
I had severe post-traumatic stress, although it didn't really show up until I got out of the Army. The first job I took was a Keene police officer. Now that was an experience that gave me worse PTSD. So I went to Manchester VA, started getting treatment there. I think I saw every psychiatrist in Keene trying to find somebody that could solve the problem or medicate it.
Yep.
And that was pretty tough. But the VA grew over the years. White River Junction Hospital was one of the places that pioneered in PTSD research and treatment. And so when I started going to the CBOCs that were under White River, it was a lot better.
Yeah.
A lot better information coming out on how to solve the problem. And it takes a long time to get over some of the reactions that you have to noises, to people yelling. See, a lot of the incidents that have happened with guns and stuff more recently than before, those people are probably people that had PTSD from one of the other wars after Vietnam. So hopefully they'll get the treatment they need and get that solved.
After everything, you came home? Sort of. Did you get married while you were in the military?
Oh, yes. I was married the whole time I was in the military.
Did you have any children?
5.
Holy jumping Jehoshaphat's. All boys, all mixture?
One son. The rest of them are all girls.
Oh, okay.
After that, I took another course in patient care at a hospital. So that with the EMT course and the LNA course, I was able to step up and go work in a hospital. And I did in Connecticut, Bacchus Hospital. And I stayed there about 3 years, but I had my heart problems start cropping up like mad at that time. So I had to come back. Decided to come back home where the kids were and do my best to survive it there.
Well, I'm glad you're here to tell the stories. That's the most important thing. What would you tell young people if they were interested in the military?
I'm kind of at a loss for what to say about the guaranteed enlistment. I don't know if they even offer that anymore. I couldn't find it when I tried to look it up online. But I would say that probably one of the services will be short enough people that they will probably guarantee what job you can have if you pick one out that they actually have, your MOS. I've been better here physically and mentally than I ever was in the past. So it's a good crew to be with.
Especially with a bunch of other veterans too.
Right.
Yeah.
Real happy with the Vermont Veterans Home so far. Great meals. Shows up right here.
Well, let me read a little bit about you here, sir. This is from your discharge paper, your DD 214. I may mispronounce some things. So, Bronze Star Medal, Meritorious Service Medal with three oak clusters, meaning you received that service medal 4 times. Army Commendation Medal with 1 oak leaf cluster. Army Achievement Letter, 1st oak leaf cluster. Meritorious Unit Commendation, Army Good Conduct Medal, 7th award. National Defense Medal, Vietnam Service Medal. Come down. Army Service Ribbon, Overseas Service Ribbon, Overseas Service Bars, Vietnam Campaign Medal, Vietnam Cross of Gallantry Unit, Vietnam Cross of Gallantry with Palm, Expert Badge M16 Rifle, Expert Badge 45 cal Pistol. So, well, I want to thank everybody for recording and watching, and until the next time, thank you.